Welcome to this course, Cybersecurity Fundamentals Building a Strong Foundation. So this course is totally free and we do have 6 modules to discuss in this whole course. So module 1, Introduction to Cybersecurity, in which we will be learning about understanding cybersecurity, importance of cybersecurity, cyber threat landscape. Module second, that is core cybersecurity concept. In this, we will be learning about CIA and then defense in depth, threat vulnerabilities and risk. Module 3, which is related to security policies and procedure. And in this, we will be learning about developing security policies, user awareness training, and incident response and reporting. Module 4 contains network security. In this, we'll be learning about network security fundamentals, firewalls and IDS, and also IPS. Firewall, wireless network security. These are the 3 things which we will be learning in network security. Module 5th is security technologies, and in this, encryption and cryptography, antivirus, anti-malware, access control, and authentication will be discussing. And at the last, module 6, which is emerging trends and best practices. So in this, we will be discussing about cloud security, Internet of Things, that is IoT, and cybersecurity best practices. You can join us freely. We are available on GitHub, YouTube. So you can go on YouTube and you can search Cyber Community. You can follow us on Telegram channel, LinkedIn, Instagram, and WhatsApp channel. So generally, we give the updates and we give the solution on Telegram channel and WhatsApp. This section we will learn about some introduction to cybersecurity. This is the module 1 and understanding cybersecurity, the importance of cybersecurity and cyber threat landscape. These are the 3 sections which we are going to cover in module first. So let's start with the cybersecurity, that what exactly it is. Let me take the highlighter first. Okay. So now, if you want to understand the cyber security, it is nothing but protecting the digital data. Whatever your digital data is, the protecting of that particular digital data is known as the cyber security. Now, from what part, from which persons, or you can say why we are protecting that particular data, the digital data actually. So we are protecting it from unauthorized person, from unauthorized access, because let's take an example. If you do have a bank account and you do have internet banking, right? Now what will happen uh, if your internet banking access already I have, right? And I can withdraw the money, I can see the amount of money in your bank. uh, so that should not be happen, because your money is your money. Your money should not be seen by anybody else. It cannot be withdrawn by anybody else. You are the person only who can withdraw your money, right? So if I am unauthorized accessing your data, or you can say the your money, then it's you can say the fraud, or you can say the in terms of hacking, right? So for that perspective, we do have the cyber security to stop these unauthorized access, right? So there is a lot of things, but this is the very simple way which I try to make you understand this, that what exactly the cyber security is. Now, it encompasses various strategies and measures to keep data system and network secure. So there are a lot of tools. There are a lot of things. Let's say to secure the network, to secure the cloud, and in that we do have the firewall, antivirus, EDR. We have SOC, the incident response team, the monitoring team, that is the SOC, and a lot of things. We do VAPT, right? So with the help of these things, we try to secure your digital information or digital data. So it involves safeguarding not only personal data, right, and also critical infrastructure, business and government institutions as well. Similarly, all these information, whatever I had told you, these contains all the same information. Just but this is the one of the main one, the phishing one. Now, what exactly that phishing is? So you should be very aware about this phishing. That what exactly the phishing is. So it's nothing but when I send you some legitimate, uh, email, right? but actually it contains the malicious data and you are clicking on it and your information you have compromised your sensitive information. So that's what the phishing, and you will be getting know about the malware, ransomwares, all these kind of things step by step in these videos. So that's it in this video, the understanding of cybersecurity. I hope it helps. The importance of cybersecurity. Now, why there is a need of cybersecurity? Why it is important for business and or also for as a person, you are individual person, and why it is important for you. So see, if you can see on my screen, it secures personal data, protects business goodwill. It also helps to protect the financial loss. Reputational damage is one of the biggest thing for the organization. For let's say Microsoft, is if Microsoft hacked, right? Let's say it hacked for 10 days, right? So who is going to trust on Microsoft, right? If Google is hacked, who is going to trust on Google? If these companies are going to be hacked, then who is going to be going to trust on these companies? That's why every organization just taking the cyber security steps, and they are making sure that yeah, their organization is safe, right? So enhance cyber posture, it improves data management, important training to workspace, minimize the website crashes. If you can see earlier, the website was crashes a lot. If there was a huge traffic on the traffic, then it is going to crashed. If somebody is doing the DDoS, it is going to crashed. So these are type of attacks that cybersecurity is actually stopping, and it is protecting. Now, so if we go step by step, if we can see here, the cybersecurity is crucial for safeguarding digital information, as we are talking about from the starting of these two videos. It protects against financial loss, we have covered it, and damage to reputation. Increased connectivity increase the risk of cyber attacks. Organization needs cybersecurity to gain trust and follow the regulation. That is, here comes the policy actually. Cyber threats constantly evolve, making proactive measures vital. Breaches can lead to data theft, financial loss, and operation disruption. So this one is the, if you heard about the some latest updates in cyber security, then there are a lot of companies who actually the data actually, you can say, has been leaked. So one of the group was Movit. Movit was one of the group who actually more than 6,000 organizations data has been leaked through this group Movit. Now, inadequate cybersecurity can harm an organization reputations. Government use cybersecurity to protect national security and citizens. So, for example, your data, mine data, every people's data, organization, sorry, government is going to take and store it. Now, how we can ensure, how the government is going to ensure to us that yeah, our data is protected? So they take the help of cybersecurity, experts, the cybersecurity tools, so that they can secure our data. It involves technology, process, and human vigilance. Obviously, we required it. Cybersecurity required continuous learning and adaptation. Why? Because this is the field which is like a ocean, and every day the glacier is getting melted. So every day there is something new something different things is coming, and every day as a cybersecurity expert, as a cybersecurity consult, we have to be assured that yeah, these things we know, and we know how to protect it, right? So that's why the importance of cybersecurity is very much needed. In this section, we are going to show you, we are going to discuss the cyber threat landscape. Now, what exactly this cyber threat landscape? So it actually encompasses the all the potential, you can say, threats in the digital world. I can say, for example, these malware, phishing, SQL injection, DOS and DDoS attack, social engineering. Now, what exactly all these are all these are. So this is nothing but a threat, right? So it might be a ransomware. Now, what is ransomware? It might be man in the middle attack. What is man in the middle attack? So let's talk one by one. So ransomware is nothing but it actually encrypt all your data in a different format with the help of some encryptions. And that encrypt without that encryption key, you cannot, uh, you know, uh, decrypt your file. Man in the middle attack, what is happening when sender A is sending something to B, but in the middle there is some person who is actually intercepting that, who is getting that what exactly in this trafficking, whether there is some password, whether there is some sensitive information. So he can intercept it, he can modify it. So this is what we call man in the middle attack. 0 day is nothing but the vulnerability which is didn't detected by any you can say any tool. It exists but it was not already known. So that is what 0 day attack. DNS tunneling, cryptojacking is related to something related to cryptocurrencies where the attacker actually uses your computer processing, right? DNS tunneling is nothing but it's a very advanced attack. So it's related to DNS where the yeah. So all these concept I believe you guys are freshers, so you might be confusing in all these terms, right? But one by one, when you will learn about this, you will get to know. Similarly, XSS attacks. So it's cross-site scripting, social engineering in which they try to fall the victims. You can say human as a victim. There is DOS and DDoS attacks, SQL injection, phishing, malware. All these kind of are the some some cyber attacks and very very dangerous attacks actually I can say. Now, see, cyber threat landscape here, what we were discussing about the cyber threat landscape and covers all the potential dangers in the digital world. It includes various threats. We have discussed the various threats, phishing, hacking, malwares. Understanding threat landscape is crucial because we should be knowing about this, why, what exactly these are things are, and how we can protect from those threats. Cyber threats continue to evolve, become more sophisticated. Hackers and criminal constantly search for vulnerabilities to exploit. Similarly, we need awareness. Government agencies are using cybersecurity professionals. Cybersecurity measures should adapt the changing threat landscapes, keeping up to date with the latest threats and vulnerabilities. This is what actually I was talking about from the starting of the videos, that we need to keep update ourselves in the field of cyber security. So that's what about the whole the cyber threat landscape, which includes a lot of things. You already know about in the previous slides that ransomware. So you can read about all these terms. All these terms you need to read about, right? All these terms. Yeah. So in this section, we are going to discuss about the module second, that is the core cybersecurity concepts. And in this, we will talking about the CIA, which is one of the main pillar of information security, that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Then in the upcoming videos, we'll talk about the defense in depth, which is one of the most important layers to protect your data, or you can say your assets. Then we'll talk about the threats, vulnerabilities, and risk. In this, you will be knowing that how you can calculate the risk, what is threat, what is vulnerability, and what exactly the risk is, and what is the difference between all these three, with a very beautiful example in that. So let's start with confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is a triad and one of the main pillar of information security, as I said. So this is what, see, here is the integrity, availability, confidentiality. Now let me take an example one by one. So example is related to your bank account, right? Now let's say, now what is that confidentiality? So if you can see here, what exactly this confidentiality? So it ensures that information is accessible only those who are authorized for it. For example, you can view your bank balance, you can withdraw your bank balance, right? Money. So this is what the confidentiality, no other person can see your bank balance, correct? So this is what confidentiality. Now let's talk about the integrity, what exactly the integrity is. Let's say there is 1000 rupees in your bank account, right? Or 1000 USD, whatever the country you are living, right? So let's say there is 1000 money, and later day, have you ever seen that 1000 becomes 2000 in another day? It will not happen, because bank is ensured that whatever the amount assigned to you, that is 1000, that should not be modified. That is what we call integrity. That is no modification of data. This is called integrity. Now the next one is availability. So let's take an example. If you want to just check your balance, or if you just want to access your internet banking, so bank have to ensure that this should be 24 into 7 into 365 should be available. If you want to withdraw your money, it should be available in your account, right? Those money you can withdraw 24 into 7 into 365 from ATM, from your internet banking, whatever the transfer, those things. So this is what we call availability. So this is what the infosec is nothing but a information security CIA triad, right? So I hope this concept will be very clear. That is CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So this is just some pinpoints which I have written here. CIA is a fundamental concept in cybersecurity. Confidentiality means keeping information private and away from unauthorized access. Integrity, it ensures data remains accurate and trustworthy without unauthorized alterations. Availability ensures that data and system are accessible whenever it is required. Balancing these three aspects is critical for effective cybersecurity. Protecting confidentiality involve encryption. So in confidentiality, there is encryption and access control is needed. Maintaining integrity requires data verification and protection against unauthorized changes. So for example, MITM, man in the middle attack. Ensuring availability involves redundancy and disaster recovery planning. CIA helps to prevent data breaches, tampering, downtime. Organization must consider CIA when designing their cybersecurity strategy. For any organization, CIA is must, and those who are in cybersecurity, they should be aware about the CIA, why it is important, and it's a very critical part of cybersecurity actually, because we need to maintain it, we need to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Defense in depth. Now, in depth is one of the most important concept to secure your data. Now, organization generally uses it to protecting their critical data. So in defense in depth, there is some specific layers. So one by one there is some certain layers, and at every layer there is some specific tool and specific strategy has been used to protect it. So it is you can say that it is very robust, and nowadays organization are using it. So let me show you this diagram which will clear your concept regarding the defense in depth, that how exactly why it is so important and how does it work. Okay, so let's say there is some mission critical asset. So and you can see there is 7 layers, 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7, right? So the number one is let's start from this prevention, that is the policy management, where actually we give the awareness to the employees. We create the policies, we create some threat modeling, risk management, these type of things we do in policy management to prevent, right? Similarly, in the operations, if you see, there is same to just monitor all the logs, whether there is something malicious happening in the environment or not. There is a incident reporting, detection response, that is a CERT team, security dashboard, SOC, NOC, monitoring team 24 into 7 into 365 days. Every hour they available to monitor the all kind of alerts and incidents, right? Now, if we come from the website, right? So this is for the outside threat protection, how we are doing. At the perimeter security, what we are doing, we are using the honeypot, we are using DLP, we are having the secure DMZ, which is nothing but demilitarized zone, which is generally used to communicate from private to public. So if you can see, this one is the public and all internal is private one. So this is the way from where it is happening. And perimeter IDS IPS, we can set up a firewall at the external one. Now once we will come in the next level, that is the network security. Here you can see the enterprise message security, enterprise wireless security. Everything is related to network, and here also you can see the DLP. So generally DLP is available when you will set the rules in DLP. It is for perimeter, network, endpoint as well. So you can set all these rules in DLP. Now at the network layer, you can say the void protection, web proxy content filtering. Correct. These are the things which we can use on the network security. Then we comes to secure the endpoint security. How we can secure the endpoint. So in the endpoint, we already have the antiviruses. We have EDR to check whatever the vulnerabilities are here or not. Desktop firewall. So if you notice, if you are having a laptop, then might be if it is Windows, then definitely it should be some Windows antivirus, and there is a internal firewall which we call, that should be present on the laptop. Content security, that is antivirus and anti-malware. Host IDS and IPS, that is intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention system, right? So these are the things happens at the endpoint security. These are some tools which we actually generally uh, check. So now application security, at the application security, for example your website, for example your API, how you are taking care of all those security, right? Application security generally. So for that, I can say WAF, which is one of the most important thing here, is the web application firewall. So it generally, stop the malicious traffic towards your application or your API. So what is this is what the WAF, and there is some certain rules related to OS top 10, maybe 180 something the rule IDs. Dynamic app testing, or we can use the SAS, that is the static app security testing, or secure code review we can do at the software level. Database monitoring and scanning, database security gateway shield, these are the things we can use to secure the application. Now at the last, the data security comes. So what exactly you do to secure your data? So the first thing is that you can encrypt it. This is the first thing. Your PKIA, right? You can use your public key infrastructure. You can use IAM, that is the access control. RBAC, you can use rollback access, can say policy, right? So RBAC, with the help of RBAC and with the help of IAM, that is the identity and access management, you can give the particular role to particular person. Whatever the access is required, only those access you can give to a particular person. Correct. So this is what we do in IAM RBAC. Enterprise right management, data integrity monitoring, data and drive encryption. This is what I said related to data. You can use the encryption to secure your data. So these are the things we generally use in these defense in depth. So any of the one layer has been compromised, let's say if network security has been compromised, then after that there are more three layers is there to defend your data. So this is why it is important. This is a seven layers basically, and somewhere you might saw there is only five layers. So that is nothing but they will just keep these things, network and perimeter, in the one section. All these things they can do. So I hope this diagrams helps you to understand step by step layer why it is important. And here is some review, or you can say the some revision part is here. Defense in depth is a cybersecurity strategy. It uses multiple layers of security measures as I shown you. Each layer adds protection against different threats. If one layer fails, other provide backup security. Example of layer include firewall, antivirus, access control. This strategy reduces the risk of successful cyber attacks, basically. So it's like having several locks on different door to a house. So if I take a very simple example, so let's say there is a goal, right? So there is a ball which is kept to behind the seven doors, and at every door there is guards, security guards who is actually very active. And every level there is different level of security guards. So you need to just take that ball. So how you can do it? So if you can broke one, then obviously the second one will see you. If you broke the second one, then maybe the third one will see you. So this is a strategy where it is that's very difficult for an attacker to just bypass all the seven doors and just catch that particular ball, or you can say that data in terms of technicality. So defense in depth is a fundamental concept in cybersecurity planning. Organization uses it to build robust and resilient security system, and it helps safeguard data and system from various threats. So that's what our defense in depth, and it's a very important concept. So you should go through, and you can search more things. You can explore more things in defense in depth. So, in this section, we are going to discuss about the threats, vulnerabilities, and risk. Now, these all three threats, vulnerabilities, and risk are very important for an organization because with the help of threats and vulnerabilities, we can define the risk of what would be the risk for the organization, and we can minimize that particular risk to an acceptance level. So we'll talk about that. Let's discuss one by one threat, vulnerability, and risk. Now, in a very technical term, before proceeding with technical terms, let me give you a very basic example that will help you to understand and correlate these threat, vulnerability, and risk. So let's take an example of your home, right? You have a home and you are just in that home. Now your window is open. Now let's suppose a mosquito, right? A mosquito from outside your home just came from your windows and bite you, right? Now think from yourself that what would be the threat, vulnerability, and risk here. So threat is nothing but the mosquito who actually come and bites you. Now from where it has come, that is the vulnerability. Your window is vulnerability. That is the weakness part from where the mosquito actually enters. So mosquito, which is a threat, enters through a window. Window is a nothing but a vulnerability, and the mosquito bites you. That is the now what could happen with you? Dengue, malaria, anything. I mean, this is just an example, right? So whatever the disease is going to be happen, that is a risk. So in very simple language, if I say threat into vulnerability is equal to risk, right? Now let's proceed in a very technical term, and let's define the threats. What exactly the threat? So threat is nothing but a malware or might be a attacker. We are uh, we are predicting here that a threat could be a malware or a attacker. Now, then what is the vulnerability? Vulnerability is nothing but a weakness, weakness of a software having some lower version. Weakness might be happen related to some input validation. These are some vulnerabilities I'm just talking about. So that could be a vulnerability, right? Now, what would be the risk? So let's say there is a particular vulnerability, right? An attacker executed that particular vulnerability, right? And your system got compromised or remote code execution has been taken by the attacker. So that's where the risk is. How much critical sensitive data uh, he can take from your organization. So that was the risk. I hope that's that you can say the example is correlating all these technical terms. Now here is the asset you are saying, right? So don't confuse here. There is a assets because in the asset there might be a some vulnerability, there might be a some threat present, and for that could be a some risk. So here if you can see risk is equal to threat into vulnerability. Now the same example which I gave you, you can again take can understand from this figure. So here is a threat, right? The attacker is a threat. Now he figure out that there is a some vulnerability which is related to insecure site, which is not a HTTPS, that is the HTTP, right? Now through that he got to know the customer, right? Which is through a insecure connection. Now once he connected with this customer, he can give anything. He can just hack his laptop, compromise his device, and take whatever he wants, right? So that's where risk is equal to threat into vulnerability. So attacker is threat, vulnerability is your whatever that happens here, that insecure site, right? And here is the risk. A bad guy could intercept and steal sensitive customer data, which is nothing but a MITM, man in the middle tech, right? So I hope this with the help of this example that would be very clear. Now this is just a revision type, so you can go through all these details. Let me just highlight quickly. So threats are potential dangers in the digital world, like hackers, malware, as we discussed already. Vulnerabilities are weakness in the systems. Risk arises when threat exploits the vulnerability, right? Threat exploits the vulnerabilities causing harm, right? Identifying threats, vulnerabilities, and risks is essential for cybersecurity and essential for organization. Understanding these elements helps prioritize security efforts. Cyber threat can include virus, phishing, and unauthorized access too. So vulnerabilities can be software bug. It could be a weak password like admin, root, tour, these kind of very weak password, but default password I'm just talking about, or you can say the misconfigured settings. Managing risk involves taking steps to prevent or mitigate threat levels. Effective cybersecurity aims to reduce risk to an acceptable level. Now, what is that acceptable level? So it's nothing but you can say a very informational alert, or you can say the very low category, right? P5 bug, you can say, where they can accept, but it's a low, so they need to fix it. Now, regular risk assessment helps organization stay proactive and secure. I hope this the concept you will get that what exactly this threat, vulnerability, and risk. So that's it in this section. So this is the module 3, security policies and procedures. So if you can see on my screen, the first one is developing security policies. Second one is user awareness training. And the last one is related to incident response and reporting. So we'll talk about all these three one by one. Let's talk about in this section the developing security policies, how we can develop it, and why it is important to develop a security policies, even why it is the security policies, why it is required. So I can understand that as a fresher or as a just a cybersecurity aspirants, you might feel that why there is requirement of these kind of policies. So see, when you will go in the say cyber security field, definitely you need to create the awareness to the users. You need to create the policies just because there are a lot of ISO compliances certifications. For example, ISO 27001, which includes ISMS. So this is the role of a GRC person, that is the governance, risk, and compliance. So you will be getting more details on those parts. I'm not going to explore all these things in this fundamental videos. So let's see how these policies are defined actually. So the number one, the baselines. Let me take the highlighter first. Number one is the baseline. Here you can see, right? So it's a uniform ways for safeguard and implementation, that how you are exactly going to implement, how you are going to plan it. Guidelines. The guideline should be very clear recommendation. What are the best practices for that particular, things on which you are going to make the policies. Now, procedure. Your procedure should be step by step instructions so that any auditor, any simple guy who is non-technical, they can understand those things very easily. And the standards. You have to specify your controls, that is the access control, I can say directly. So let's take an example. If there is some database, right? You have written a policy for the say database, but who actually have the access of those database? Who have the controls, right? All those necessary standards you have to follow. All those access control you need to mention in your documentation. And at the last, that is the policy general management statement, which you can make it. So this is how your policy is going to made, and this is what the mandatory thing I have mentioned here, right? So I hope this is a very basic one, that how we develop a security policy, and these are the some, guidelines. So let's move it for the revision part, that security policies are rules and guidelines for why we required for safeguarding our data. Because until unless you don't have the policy, you cannot secure a data. If you have the policy, you can check the policies and you can maintain your data. Now they set a clear expectation for how to handle security. This is what the procedures in that particular policies. And policies also helps to protect against unauthorized access and breaches. So let's take an example that if there is some breaches happen, then how you can, follow the step-by-step procedure, how you can follow the procedure for the unauthorized access. Organization create policies to ensure consistent security practices. Security policies cover areas like data handling, access control, as I talked about in the previous slide, and the incident response. User training, obviously, it is essential, and we'll be talking about in the upcoming section as well. So why it is essential for, because we need to, uh, the policy should be effectiveness. This is one of the main reason that the user training is essential. And also, if you talk about the some malware awareness, some ransomware awareness, so user must be, at least he should be aware about that he should not click on any attachment, any malicious URL. Now, incident response policies details step to follow during security incidents. If there is any security incidents happens, at least the analyst can follow that particular SOP. Policies promote a culture of security within an organization. Regular updates, that is the very important. Enforcement of policies are crucial. Well-developed policies are a foundation of robust cybersecurity. So there are a lot of things for which we require the security policy, and this is just a sum of the things which I have mentioned here. Just to let you know that why it is required. Now let's talk about the user awareness training. Now why the user awareness training is important for employees and users. So it is important because employees are not aware about anything related to cybersecurity, and if they received any kind of malicious or phishing email, they can directly click on it without proper knowledge. So this is one of the biggest reason, to just to let them know that on which link they have to click, on which mail they have to reply. Not only these things, but also when they go on some website, what are the things they should search, what are the things they should not do. All these things they should know. So the employees is one of the, you can say, the weakest line of attack. So attacker can easily get, can take advantage of these things, those employees who are not aware about cybersecurity. So this is the reason, and 99% of attacks happen because of humans victim. So this is what we have some points. Let's discuss one by one. User awareness training educates people about cybersecurity. This is the right one which we talking about. It teaches individual to recognize and respond to security threats. If anything's related to any security things happen, right? Any phishing email is coming, at least they will be able to know कि, yeah, what they have to do actually. Now, training helps employees become the first line of defense against cyber attacks. As I said, they are very weak, so we need to improve them. We are expecting that they will improve. So that's the reason we are giving the, awareness training. Topics may include spotting phishing email, as I was sorry, I was talking about, and creating a strong password, right? A strong password is very mandatory, at least having 8 characters, at least alphanumeric with the special characters. Cybersecurity training is essential for all employees, not just IDS staff. Regular training sessions keeps everyone updated on the evolving threats. User awareness is a critical part of an organization's overall cybersecurity strategy. Well-informed users can help prevent security breaches and data loss. Now, why this one is important? Because if user is already aware, he can report the phishing email to us. If there is some breaches happening, he can report to us, right? So that will be a very big, you can say, help for us. So training empowers individuals to contribute to a safer digital environment. Ongoing education and awareness are key to effective cyber community and cyber security as well. Incident response and reporting. Now this topic is very important because when you will be in cyber security, definitely these are the things you will have to do. If any incident is happening, you need to know what exactly you have to do from the starting to the end and how you have to repeat. We'll talk about all these things in this video. We'll cover each and every steps one by one. So here is the incident response 6 steps plan that what exactly you have to do if any incident happen. Let's say this ransomware happened. Let's say any device is compromised. Then how you have to go step by step. So the number one is the preparation, right? So you need to preparation. You need to check what exactly happening. Correct. You need to prepare that what are the teams you have to select. All these things you have to do in the first stage where you are preparing yourself and the team in order to handle those situations. Now, second is identification. Now, you need to identify what kind of ransomware is, what kind of device has been compromised, and what are the other things which you can get the. So in the identification, generally, I can say the information gathering, and in the containment, you have to know containment eradication is near about the same thing. That in the containment, you are just going to figure out that what exactly happening, the analysis part, I can say, right? Eradication is your like a mitigation, right? Where you need to eradicate all those things, and the recovery. The fifth point is the recovery, where you need to, if the device has been compromised, then you need to take it out again in your network, because once the device has been compromised, the first point is itself is isolating that particular machine, right? So recovery is the fifth point, and at the last we have the review. You need to review all your points where you have to check each and everything in terms of IOCs, that is the indicator of compromise, in terms of IOA, whatever the you can say indicators you have. Now the next one is the reporting time, or you can say the management flow diagram, right? So how actually it works. So the detection and registration, classification, diagnosis, resolution, and closure. So this is also one of the way to report, right? So the first one is that you detected one of the incident or malware, you have to registration or register it wherever it is required. Then classification, what classification it is, diagnosis and the resolution of that particular incident, what you have taken the steps, and at the last closure, right? So this is how it complete its cycle. Now again, let's talk about some of the highlighted points in this video of related to incident response and reporting. So incident response is a plan for dealing with security breaches. It outlines steps to take when a security incident occurs. Quick and effective response minimize damage to recovery time. Reporting is a critical part of incident response. When the incident response you have taken care, you need to report it as well. In India, we report to India CERT team. Maybe if you are from US or other part of the world, you need to report your to government agency who handle the cyber security. Now, it involves documenting, notifying the relevant parties about the incident. Incident response plan specify rules and responsibilities. Communication is key during the incident response. Timely reporting help assess the impact and scope of the incident. Learning from incident strengthens future cybersecurity measures. So here, what is the coming here? The learning part. What you have learned. What you have learned from that particular incident response. This is a very important part. Incident response is essential for minimizing harm and prevent future breaches. So that's how we actually handle the incident response. That's how we report it. And when you will come in the cybersecurity field, you will get to know much about these things. So this is just a basic one I'm telling. And this incident response is like investigation and analysis is very important in these things, especially in this incident response. So in this section, we'll talk about the network security. And if you can see on the screen, there are three categories we do have. Firstly, we will talk about the network security fundamentals. And the second one is related to firewalls and intrusion detection system. And at the last, we'll talk about the wireless network security. So all these three are important part of the network security, and especially the firewalls, IDS, IPS, these kind of things. We'll talk about all those things one by one. So firstly, let's start with the network security fundamentals. So I believe you already know about the some networking part like the switch, hub, routers, and these OSI model layer, TCP IPs. All these things I'm expecting that you already know. If you don't know, then let me know you in the comment section. I'll add those videos as well. So now there is nine elements of network security. That is the network firewall, intrusion prevention systems. Now what is IPS, what is IDS? So with these all the things we will be covering in the upcoming videos. No issues in that. So as of now, prevention in the prevention system, we generally prevent. There is a mechanism through which we actually prevent it, right? And in the IDS, that is the intrusion detection system, it is for used for the detection. There is a mechanism, there is a signature based, you can say directly, on which it detect the malicious traffic, right? Then unified threat management, advanced network threat prevention, network access control is very important. Cloud access security brokers, this is something new, right? In that because of the cloud, where nowadays companies are choosing cloud in spite of the physical infrastructure. So DDoS mitigation is another one. That's why we use, IDS for that, especially for this DDoS attack. And the network behavior anomaly detection, the detection which is not usual. There is something happening, and let's say there is um 10 traffic is going on, but usually it is happening that there is 200 traffic has been observed. So some unusual pattern, some unusual detection that comes under the category of anomaly. Now, SD-WAN security, all the wireless area network, all the you can say the wide area network, right? Whatever the things we have, all these are nine elements of network security. Let's talk about this one. So, if we talk about the network security, then okay, let me take the highlighter. Then it focuses on protecting data as it travels through the networks, right? It safeguard against unauthorized access and data breaches. This is the same. We have talked about the defense in depth, right? In the network, external network, sorry, the perimeter network and the network we have talked about, right? So where it is a very important, it plays a very important role for those layers. Key network security measures include firewall and access controls. Firewall act as digital barriers to filter incoming and outgoing traffic. So firewall is nothing but it's a way through which it actually uh, just detect the incoming traffic and also the outgoing traffic. So the incoming traffic we call inbound traffic and the outbound is called the outgoing traffic, right? The access control restricts who can access a specific part of the network. For example, this the access of the firewall, let's say, right? So it should be to the network team and to the cyber security team, right? These two team only should have access, right? Network security aims to prevent data interception, that is the MITM, man in the middle attack, and unauthorized access. Security protocols like VPNs. So if we talk about the VPNs, VPN can be configured with firewall. All these things you will get to know in the advanced lectures. But as of now, you should know that yeah, VPN can be configured with the firewalls. How we configured, what are the rules, what are the other things, all those are in the will be coming in the advanced one. So ensure secure data transmission over networks, right? Regular updates, patch management, and crucial for network security. Let's suppose if you are using the Palo Alto, make sure that it is has been upgraded. Well, Palo Alto research team is very fast and they always take care of about these things. But you have to also take care about those things. A strong network security helps safeguard sensitive information during transmission. It's fundamental aspect of overall cybersecurity for organization, right? So what we learn in this that the firewall is very important. Firewall is very important for the organization for the incoming and outgoing traffic. Firewalls and intrusion detection system. So this is the second section. Let's talk about the IDS with the help of a very beautiful diagram. So here you can see the intruder and here you can see the firewall and IDS. IDS is nothing but intrusion detection system. All these two are the defense mechanism. Here you can also attach the IPS, no issues in that. So now firewall having the rule based data, it has the rules of database. Let's say if you're the Palo Alto firewall, that is ThreadWall, which is the database of Palo Alto. Now IDS, intrusion detection system, having the signature based. Now what is the difference between signature and rules DB? So rule you can set up, right? You can set your rules and you can apply whatever the rules you want. Signature is already inbuilt or the known signatures you can say. If there is some machine learning used or AI used, then it could be the behavior based signatures as well could be happen. But the signature based are those especially which are already known, so all those traffics can be detected by IDS. Firewall, you can block specifics something if there is some malicious things you have detected in your organization, you can block on firewall. But IDS itself will block if we find any kind of malicious things related to its signature. So let's take a very beautiful example with the help of this one. So here is the intruder. Let's say is the attacker, which is generally an intruder, right? He sends some data. He sends some data and it's bypassed through the firewall, but ID is captured on the basis of signature as it defines it as a malicious. So what will IDS will do? IDS is not going to send this particular traffic to that particular user. It will block here, automatically block here because it based on the signature. So it is going to detect it. There is options to block it. That's why IPS comes there. That is intrusion prevention system. Uh, so it depends on the administrator. Here is the administrator. You can say they it maintains all the alerts. Which kind of alerts should go through, which kind of should alert should not go through. He manages all these firewall and IDS. Correct. So that's how actually the firewall and IDS worked. And you can see uh, here is the internet. You can say suppose here is the internet firewall, then IDS, then your all these switches, routers should be here, and the switches, APs, everything will be here. Now, firewall digital guards for your network. That's we already have learned in the previous videos as well. They block unauthorized access while allowing legitimate traffic. Firewalls after filter incoming and outgoing data packets. Intrusion detection system. This one is very important. Monitor network traffic for suspicious activity. IDS alerts administrator if they detect potential threats, as I was talking about. So I was talking about this one, that they maintain the all the alerts, the administrator. Now firewall and IDS work together to enhance network security. Firewalls create a protected barrier like a security gate. IDS act as a digital sensors, alerting when something unusual happens. As I said, the anomaly behavior which I was talking in the first video. These systems help prevent unauthorized access and cyber attacks. They are essential components of network security in modern organization. So what we have learned in this particular section, that firewall and IDS is one of the is both both are the used for the network security. This is for the detection, and this is type of barrier where you can filter out all those things. Correct? So that's it in this section. Let's meet in the next video. Now let's talk about the wireless network security. Now, what exactly this wireless network security we are talking about? So it's related to your AP access point, it's related to your Wi-Fi, everything whatever is wireless, we are talking about that security. So when you do have the Wi-Fi and you do not have that password, something whatever the password, and you are giving the hotspot, right? So that's a very free Wi-Fi, you can tell, right? So anybody can use it, but you need exactly the password for that, just to making sure that yeah, your house, your router, your Wi-Fi, your broadband is actually a safe, right? And you might have heard about that Wi-Fi hacking, right? So nowadays it's very easy to crack the Wi-Fi password, but nowadays you can see the latest version of this Wi-Fi has been come, and now it is more secure, and it's very rare that if you are if you're keeping your password more than 8 character and anybody is using going to crack it. So this is what mandatory to keep secure your wireless and wire. Let's talk about this one. That wireless network security focuses on securing Wi-Fi connections, as we were talking about. Wi-Fi networks are susceptible and unauthorized access if not properly protected. So anybody can use it, your Wi-Fi. Encryption is vital for wireless security. So nowadays, encryption is also in place when your Wi-Fi signals, whatever the traffic is coming and going. So all those are also encrypted nowadays. Wi-Fi passwords, often called keys, restrict access to authorized users. Regularly updating Wi-Fi equipment and password is important. Disable unnecessary network features to reduce security risk. Wi-Fi security measures helps prevent unauthorized access to data breaches. Properly securing wireless network is essential for overall cyber security. It's especially important in workplaces and homes with wireless networks. So let's take an example. If you are in your organization and your Wi-Fi don't have any kind of password, right? And anybody whoever the guest or anybody is coming from outside and just connecting from your Wi-Fi, organization's Wi-Fi, and doing some malicious activity, then how you are going to know that he is the person who actually doing it? So that's why those authorizations is very important, and hence the wireless network security is too. So in this module, we will be talking about security technologies. Number one, we do have the encryption and cryptography you can see on the screen, and the second one, antivirus and anti-malware, and the last will be discussing about access control and authentication in this module. So let's talk about the encryption and cryptography. What is the difference? What exactly it is? So let me take you a very good example, and it's a very good figure by which you can understand what is exactly the encryption and cryptography. So encryption is nothing but you can say to encrypt the data, we use encryption. Now this code will be the secret one, right? And cryptography is nothing but it is actually the whole process by which we are generating the secure mechanism or secure process, you can say directly, right? For example, let's talk about here is a plain text. It means, let's say, ABCD, the data which you can read, directly read, right? And here is the some encryption algorithm that might be some of the symmetric key encryption with the help of symmetric key encryption, or might be some asymmetric key encryption. Uh, Now what is that symmetric key and asymmetric key encryption? You can see symmetric key encryption shares both the same key, means private and public key both are same. Whereas in the asymmetric key, it is based on public and private key encryption technique. It uses two different key to encrypt and decrypt. For example, here you have encrypted, here you are decrypted. Both keys are different. So public and private keys both are different in asymmetric key. So this is what the encryption types you can say generally. But what actually here happening, so this plain text is changing into some ciphertext which is in an unreadable form, you can say, right? So to decrypt that data, to read that particular data, you need to decrypt that particular ciphertext in order to obtain as a plain text in which you can read. So for that you have to use that again the private key to decrypt it. So those who have this particular key, they can only decrypt it. If you do not have that particular key, you can't decrypt that data. So this is a very secure way to just you can say to transfer the data, to send the data. This is what exactly the cryptography and encryption. Now see here are the some of the reviews point or revision point. So encryption is like a secret code for digital information, as we were talking. It transforms data into unreadable text, ciphertext using algorithm. So if you can see in the last figure, here is the plain text and it has been changed into the ciphertext, correct? Now let's move it. Only those with the correct key can decrypt and read the data. This is what I told you in the last slide. Cryptography is the science of secure communication. So this whole communication, if you will see, this whole communication is known as the cryptography. It ensures data privacy even if intercepted by unauthorized parties, right? So it is not going to, breach when anybody is going to intercept it. So only the person who have the key, they can only decrypt it. Common encryption method includes AES and RSA. RSA is one of the well-known algorithm. You might be have heard about that. SSL and TLS are used to secure online transaction communication. That's a very simple concept. You already know. Public key cryptography uses pairs of public and private keys, and we both for both we have talked about public and private keys. Encryption is crucial for protecting sensitive information in digital communication. We have talked about the encryption, and at the last, it's a fundamental element of cybersecurity, securing data both in transit and at rest. I hope this will be a very simple way I tried that what exactly the encryption and what exactly the cryptography is. Now let's talk about some antivirus and anti-malware. Now in terms of cybersecurity, these AV and anti-malware are very important. So if you do have a laptop, you might be a Mac or might be a Windows, then definitely there should be some antivirus in Windows. There is a by default antivirus which we call generally Microsoft Defender, right? So generally organizations uses all these antiviruses and anti-malwares or even the EDR just to detect the uh, you know all the malicious events, the viruses, trojans, worms, everything generally. So antivirus is nothing but when you know about the antivirus actually detects it is signature based and it detects the known vulnerabilities or you can say the known attacks or malwares. For example, if there is some malware which is already known or already in the database of that particular antivirus software, then it is going to detect. But let's suppose if there is some 0 day, antivirus is not going to detect it because it is not a behavior based. It is a signature based, which is already there, right? And those malwares or viruses which is already known, it can detect. Whereas the anti-malware, if you can see in my screen, it is heuristic based, right? So it has the ability to detect a 0 day attack as well, or the attack which is not happened, correct? So it has the ability of those things as well. Now here comes the third term is that EDR, endpoint detection response. So generally endpoint is your asset means your laptop device, whatever, right? So organization uses EDR. Now what is the capability of that EDR is? So EDR is for endpoint detection response, and it is a behavior based. It can detect the pattern of the particular, uh, some of the traffic patterns. It can detect, it can detect the behavior. It can also detect the known malwares, or it can also detect the 0 days. So nowadays companies in the cyber security generally are using antivirus and EDR both solutions. So this is what the antivirus and anti-malware, and where we are using in terms of cyber security, these things you already know. So let's move. Okay, so this is just a revision type. Let me take a highlighter. Antivirus and anti-malware software are like digital security guards, as we were talking about, like your laptop, right? And they can scan computers and network to detect and remove malicious software. That is the malware. Malware includes virus, worms, trojans, and spyware. If it is known, then AV means antivirus is going to remove it. Else AM will remove if it is not known. Correct? Antivirus programs uses database of known malware signature to identify threats. That's what we have talked in the previous slide. Anti-malware software employs behavioral analysis to detect suspicious activity. That is heuristic based. Uh, this is the heuristic based, the anti-malware, which you already have seen here. This is heuristic based detection, right? Now, regular updates are essential to keep the antivirus, anti-malware update. Not only this antivirus and anti-malware, but also you need to keep your Windows, you need to keep your application up to date, your Google Chrome, everything, whatever you have, right? Because in the older version, why the new version is coming, right? So you have to think about that, why the new version is coming, because there might be some vulnerability in the lower version. That's why the new one is coming, or the company have just changed something in the new version. That's why the newer version is coming. So you need to take care about all those things. Scanning files and downloads helps prevent malware from infecting system. These tools provide a real-time protection and schedule scans. So you can schedule a scan maybe every day or weekly. It depends on your policy of your organization generally. Antivirus and anti-malware are vital for keeping devices and networks safe from cyber threats. They are fundamental components of cybersecurity. Obviously, whatever these things we are discussing in the whole course, all everything is the fundamental, and this is the base of the cybersecurity, I can say. Right. So that's it in the antivirus, anti-malware, and you already I also told you about the EDR, that is the endpoint detection response, and XDR is the advanced detection response. Now let's talk about the access control and authentication. What is access control and what is authentication in terms of cybersecurity and why it is needed? So see, if you want to access something, you should have only a proper access. If let's say if you have a secure, you are a security admin, right? But you got a super admin access, the whole access of the infra, then it's not a good way to handle these kind of things, because you should have only those limitations, those access which is required for you, right? And let's say if some of the intern or some of the fresher is coming and I gave all the access to him, So this is that will be a huge trouble for me and for every organization actually, because the fresher or intern doesn't know that what actually you have to do. Correct. So that's why the access control comes in place. That's why the authentication comes in place. So let's talk about one by one. What is that exactly the authentication? It means the authorized user should have some those authentication in which it is going to come the confidentiality, integrity, and drop non-repudiation. Now, what exactly this non-repudiation is? So non-repudiation is nothing but when I send you something, you can't deny the validity of those things. So let's say if I send you an email, right, and it has been sent from my end, but you are saying that you didn't receive, you can't deny that because there is a valid proof I do have. So that is what a non-repudiation. Integrity is no modification of data. Confidentiality, only the authorized user having those access, right? So these are the some terms in the authentication where is the in access control along with the authentication, there is availability as well. So we already talked about all this CIA in the starting of this video, that why it is important in terms of cyber security. Correct. So all these required, if I'm giving you access, that should be, if you got the access, it should be very confidential. Though that type of access cannot be everyone can gain. Let's say you are in cyber security team and there is only 3 to 4 members. So only 2 members are required for security admin. If I am giving the security admin access to you, that only be accessible to you guys along with the super admin. Correct. So this is the confidentiality, integrity, availability, and access control, and why it is necessary, why it is important. These all things we have talked about, and that's why it is a very sensitive case. Now let's take some of the revision part from the previous slide. Access control manages who can access what in digital system. That's what we have discussed. It ensures that only authorized users can access the specific resources. Authentication verifies the identity of the user. All these things discussed. Passwords, PIN, biometrics, and smart cards are authentication methods. Yeah. So this is the just an example. For example, your password, your PIN, your biometric. Now your biometric cannot be done by some other person, right? So these are the some authentication methods. Now 2FA, two-factor authentication adds an extra layer. For example, your net banking, right? And let's say your password has been compromised, but you don't know. So there is a two-factor authentication. When you will enter your password, you will get a notification OTP, one-time password on your email or mobile, uh, just to re-verify it. So it adds a extra layer. Even if your password has been compromised, the attacker is not going to open your internet banking because there will be a required a OTP, that is one-time password, right? So that's why the two-factor authentication is also one of the security layer, I can say. Access control and authentication protects against unauthorized access. Okay, we talked about that. There are crucial for safeguarding sensitive data system, strong and unauthorized actions. Now, obviously, all these are fundamentals, right? Access control policies are very essential. All the policies, in fact, not only this access control and authentication policies. So that's why when you remember when we talking about the policy terms, that is very important for the organization. So that's it in this video, access control and authentication. Welcome to module 6, and in this section we are going to discuss about the emerging trend and best practices for cybersecurity. Now in this we'll talk about cloud security because a lot of organization is directly moving on the cloud. So cloud security is very important nowadays. Internet of things, whatever the devices you do have your mobile phone, you do have your routers, different kind of things, right? You do have CCTVs, all these things in which is having internet, right? So why it is important and how the hackers are actually hacking all these things, and with the help of these things how they are monitoring you. So all these things we will talk about in the internet of things, that is the IoT security. And at the last, what are the best practices for cyber security or information security which we can implement in our organization? So these things we'll talk about. So let's start with the cloud security. Cloud security, this term might be new for you, but nowadays it is emerging in a very rapid speed. So cloud is security is nothing but all data, whatever the things we are doing physically, everything is now virtualized on cloud, right? So what is the benefit of cloud security? So we can directly, the data is always available, right? Even if there is anything happen, the CSP, the cloud service provider, will be responsible for those things. So CSP is actually responsible for giving the availability of 24 into 7 into 365, whether it's raining, whether it's happening, anything from wherever you are, you can access your data. Whether you are in America, whether you are London, anywhere you can access your data in a very secure manner, right? So, but still, if your data on cloud, what is the who is responsible for that? Who is going to see the security? For see, IS, SaaS, and PaaS, these are the three categories of this cloud security. All these things you will get to know about in Azure 900 certification, when we will give the training on that. So what happened, infrastructure is already covered by the your CSP, that is a cloud security provider, sorry, service provider. But along with that, you do have your servers, you do have your endpoints, a lot of things. You have Kubernetes clusters, right? Uh, who is going to monitor is your AKS? Who will be is monitoring it? Containers, right? So all those data, make sure that it is not publicly available, only for your users, along with your users. That should not be public. So this is the first thing, that is the data security. What are you doing for the data security? Availability is obviously that will be having. Compliance is one of the great thing which actually CSP itself give you. That, yeah, for example, if there is Azure cloud security, then Azure is already having SOC 2 type, which is already compliant. In the SOC 2 type, already there is integrity, confidentiality, this all the ISO certification already comes in that category. Now, governance as well comes in that IAM. Now it gives the access to you. That's what we were talking about in the access control, how we were, doing that. So RBAC role based access, how we are doing all those things. So with the help of IAM, identity and access management, where we are noting everything, which user have which access, and whether it has a valid proof or not, or with the business justification, you need to give that particular access to particular user. So those things we do with the help of IAM. DR means disaster recovery, BC means business continuity planning. All these should be in the cloud security as well. And availability compliance, okay, all these terms we already covered. So that's why, in a very simple manner, if I told you, whatever the security you are doing as a physical level, the same security you need to do on the cloud as well. Uh, but there is something different. There will be little bit different things, but in the same manner you have to security. You should have the SOC, you should have the CSAT, you should have the VAPT report, everything you need to do. Now let's take the revision quickly. Cloud security is about safeguarding, okay, storage, applications, computing power. It has very high capacity, all these things. Security measures protect data from unauthorized access and breaches. We use the encryption by default. Azure uses the encryption as well. A strong access control limit, who can access cloud resources, here IAM, right? These are the things you need to do in your organization. Regular monitoring and auditing. Data backup and disaster recovery plans, cloud security shared responsibility between cloud provider and the user. That's what we have discussed. That is the CSP, cloud service provider, right? User must configure and use cloud service securely. Ensuring cloud security is essential as more data moves to the cloud in the digital age. So nowadays, every data is a digitalized. For example, uh, your Google account, whatever the data you are getting on the Gmail is on cloud. Correct. So that's it in the cloud security. I hope this is going to help you. Let's um, uh, let's move to the new section. We'll meet in that. Internet of Things, IoT security. You might have heard about some Shodan.io, which is one of the best, place to explore the IoT devices. Whether camera, you can see you can directly hack the camera and you can see which camera has no security, which camera have the default passwords. So those things you will be learning especially in the certified ethical hacking course, or might be I will tell you in the bug bounty course. So this is what typical diagram for the IoT devices, your routers, your CCTVs, your user endpoints as well, right? And this helicopters, intelligent transportation system, your bus, you can say the signals. Have you ever seen that signal has been hacked, and whenever it is red, you are doing it as a green. Correct. So this can be hacked, and all these devices in your hospitals, which having the internet, in the smart factories as well. So I nowadays we are just everywhere there is IoTs, right? So IoT is basically a very important perspective whenever we talk about the cyber security, because when you are in the organization, let's say you might be working in the different departments. For let's take an example of a health tech company, right? So in that, you have seen that there is some CCTV cameras, which is already, there is no password, which is very easily hackable. So those password and those CCTVs having the public IP, so those are easily available on the Shodan. Anybody can see you in your office that what you are exactly doing. So the same thing I have already done in one of the organization, and I have reported them for the same thing, that their cameras uh, are publicly available and there is no password in that. So even I've changed the password. So these are the things attackers actually do. So you need to be very focused that what are the securities you can provide to the CCTV as well. And similarly, what are the different kind of say securities you can provide to these doors, especially uh, the securities in your, if you're in a manufacturing team, or let's say metros. So what are the functionalities you can think about the metros? So that's why IoTs are the hub of the cyber security, I can say, where nowadays it is very easily to available to hack. But the scenes are changing day by day, and everybody is protecting these IoT devices, and same you have to do. So that's what IoT devices, which is we talking about Internet of Things. It's nothing but a device which is having the internet. Okay, so this is the revision time. If you say this one. So IoT refers to connected devices like smart thermometers and cameras. IoT security focuses on protecting these devices. And the same things, whatever we have discussed in the previous slide, everything is written here. You can go through one by one, right? Regular monitoring detects unusual IoT device behavior. So you need to regular monitor it as well. And everything we already have discussed in the previous slide. So you can go through these one by one. Now let's talk about the cyber security best practices. If you are in an organization, what kind of practices you are going to implement for your organization, or even for your home, not only for the organization. So I have just shown the example of the small business, but if you have the in a big business, you can add your points as well. There is no issues. There is a lot of points to secure the organization. So the top 10 basically things I have just written here. The number one is conduct a security assessment. So if you have a team of security, make sure that the security teams are doing the right thing or not. What are the activity they are doing? So you need to take the audit. You need to take the assessment of your security team as well. Require a strong password and MFA. So as I said in the previous sections that MFA is very uh, very important, because if you do have the internet banking and attacker have the password, at least on that time this your internet banking is going to be secured. Employee security training, that's also we have discussed that why it is mandatory, why the awareness training is mandatory in an organization, especially related to this cyber security, so that the user or employee can get to know that in what links they have to click, if there is any email, then what they have to do. So they can be aware about these related to cyber security terms. Limit access to company data, so only those users who have uh, that much required, only that type of access they should have. In for this, IAM, identity and access management team, is already in place. So when the particular data user is trying to get the data which is not available for him, there should be a alert come to the security team that yeah, this is the guy who is actually trying to get this data. Why is trying to get this data? Just ask him. So this is what you can do. Backup your data. This is very important because we don't know. See, we have thousands of tools, but still we cannot say that we are 100% secure, right? After all these are tools, and tools can be bypassed. So this is the backup, this is your backup. You need to take care of all these things, that there should be some backup of your those data. Now, keep software up to date, not only the softwares, all the applications or operating system, everything you need to keep to update. Practice your incident response plan. So make CTF in your security team. Give some something real near about phishing emails, which is near about a CTF, I can say, especially the steganography concepts of steganography concepts images, where you can hide the malicious link at the image in the image. So for this phishing email investigation course, that is the advanced course actually, is already in place, and you can go through on Udemy, and you will get that particular course. So secure payment processing, that should be happen if you are a product based company. Implement formal security policies. That's why we were talking about, without security policies there is nothing in our organization, and your organization can't be certified with the ISO. And secure our networks. Secure in the secure your networks, we already have talked about the firewalls, IDS, these things we already have talked about. So that's it. This is the basic steps which you need to take care about in your organization, and these are the some best practices for cyber security. And all these things which is written here, this is the same thing which we talked about in the previous slide. So if you want, you can go through one by one. Correct. Install reputable antivirus and anti-malware software, backup important data, avoid using public Wi-Fi. Why I'm saying this? Because if I'm giving you a free Wi-Fi, it might happen I just wanted to know your IP. That's a very simple, right? So these things you should be aware about that. Educate yourself and other about cybersecurity risk and safe online behavior. Monitor your online accounts and all these things. You can read all these things which I have mentioned here. This is the same thing which we just discussed. So that's it. Thank you so much for taking this course, guys. Bye bye. Take care.